You've seen the Navy SEALs in movies, heard the stories, read the books. They're everywhere, from Hollywood to headlines. But then there's Delta Force. No movies, no press, no public records, just whispers and shadows. Most people think they're the same, elite, interchangeable, but they're not. Not even close. Because while SEALs dominate the battlefield, Delta Force, they erase themselves from it. And there's one reason for that difference. That changes everything. When people hear Special Forces, they usually think of one thing: toughness, grit, elite training. And that's true for both Navy SEALs and Delta Force. But here's where the misunderstanding begins. Because most people think these two units are basically the same. Same missions, same skills, same status. They're not. The Navy SEALs, especially units like SEAL Team 6, are household names. They've been in Hollywood movies, autobiographies, even video games. They're America's most visible elite force. And that's not a bad thing. It's part of their recruiting power, their public identity. They represent strength, loudly. Delta Force? They represent silence. There are no Delta Force memoirs, no movies with big names playing the Delta guy. In fact, many Americans have never even heard the name Delta Force, and that's exactly how they want it. Here's the key difference most people miss. The SEALs are tactical operators who execute high-profile missions, often with big results the public can know about. Delta Force operators are strategic assets who carry out missions the public must never hear about. SEALs kick in doors. Delta walks through them unnoticed. So while both are elite, only one leaves behind a visible trail. The other erases it completely. Next time someone says SEALs and Delta are basically the same, you'll know they're elite, but built for very different wars. To understand why Delta Force doesn't do what the SEALs do, you have to start with this. Their missions aren't just different. They're designed with opposite outcomes in mind. Navy SEALs are masters of direct action. Think high-stakes raids, maritime strikes, hostage rescues in hostile territory. They're often deployed in large-scale operations where force, precision, and presence are key. When SEALs hit, the world knows about it. Helicopters roar, doors get blown off hinges, targets are taken out with speed and power. Now contrast that with Delta Force. Delta missions are the ones that don't make headlines, not because they aren't important, but because they can't be talked about. Their job is to operate in the grayest areas imaginable: deep cover intelligence gathering, deniable black ops missions, hostage recovery in countries where U.S. forces technically aren't even present, targeted eliminations with zero evidence left behind. Here's the brutal truth. If a SEAL mission fails, it might hit the front page. If a Delta mission fails, the world may never even know it happened. Why? Because Delta isn't just about completing the mission. It's about ensuring the mission's existence remains invisible. They work hand in hand with the CIA. Sometimes they don't even wear uniforms. Sometimes they operate under false identities, embedded in environments where a single misstep could start an international crisis. Where SEALs are a scalpel dropped from the sky. Delta is a whisper in the room before anything even begins. Same skill, same courage, but different rules, different outcomes, different world. And that's why Delta Force doesn't just operate differently from SEALs. They have to. Becoming a Navy SEAL is grueling. Everyone knows that. You've heard of Hell Week. You've seen the documentaries: surf torture, log carries, sleep deprivation. It's a test of willpower, and it's all very public. But Delta Force? That selection process happens in silence. There's no public footage, no gritty montages, because even the way you become Delta is a secret. You don't apply. You're invited. And you're not invited just because you're strong or fast. You're invited because someone noticed you could handle things no one else could and never talk about it. Then comes the most mysterious phase: assessment and selection, often simply called the long walk. It's not a boot camp. It's not about shouting or physical dominance. It's about isolation, navigation, and mental unraveling. Imagine this. You're deep in the mountains of West Virginia, alone, no sleep, no clock, no one encouraging you. Just a map, a compass, and a rucksack that gets heavier by the hour. No one is cheering you on. No one tells you if you're doing well. Because that's the point. Delta doesn't want someone who performs under pressure in front of others. They want someone who performs when no one is watching, when everything is uncertain, and when failure feels like the only option. But you keep moving anyway. It's a psychological filter. They're not just looking for toughness. They're looking for emotional control, for judgment, for absolute discretion. Because in Delta, mistakes don't get edited out later. They cost lives. And if you pass, if you survive that silent, invisible gauntlet, you don't go viral. You don't earn a trident. You vanish into the shadows, into operations you can never speak about, into a unit whose existence is barely acknowledged. That's the Delta difference. The SEALs break you in front of the world. Delta breaks you, where no one ever sees. If you spot a Navy SEAL in the field, you'll know it. Patches, flags, high-speed gear, a look that screams, "We're here, and we mean business." Delta Force? They blend in. No name tags, no unit insignia, no flashy kits. Just jeans, a flannel shirt, maybe a baseball cap, and a suppressed pistol tucked away. Because Delta doesn't operate like a military unit. They operate like ghosts, undercover, embedded, sometimes posing as aid workers, contractors, or even journalists. Why? Because a uniform says who you are. Delta's job is to never let you know. Even their weapons are modified, custom builds, unmarked, tuned for specific missions. No standard loadout, no paper trail. Where SEALs might land by helicopter and make a statement, Delta might already be in country, already watching, already setting up, days before the operation begins. One moves with force, the other moves with silence. And in Delta's world, the greatest compliment is this: no one even knew they were there. Let's make this real. When Osama bin Laden was taken down in 2011, it was SEAL Team 6, a textbook example of direct action, helicopters in the night, precision assault, and then global headlines. But rewind back to 1980, Operation Eagle Claw, an Iranian hostage crisis, a rescue attempt deep inside hostile territory. That was Delta Force, one of their first missions. And it went wrong. Mechanical failures, a tragic crash, 8 Americans killed. Unlike the SEALs, Delta didn't get a media victory lap. They got buried in silence and kept moving forward. But here's the twist. After Eagle Claw, Delta didn't fade. They evolved, quietly, invisibly. They became the go-to unit for missions too politically sensitive, too risky, too deniable for any other force. Somalia, Iraq, Afghanistan. Their fingerprints are on history, but you'll never see them. While SEALs execute bold, cinematic raids, Delta might have neutralized the same threat without ever being noticed. That's the ultimate contrast. SEALs finish the mission and walk out the front door. Delta finishes the mission, and no one even knows they were inside. Delta Force and the SEALs might wear the same flag. They might train with the same intensity. They might fight for the same cause. But they do it in completely different ways. One is built for visibility, domination, and public missions. The other is engineered for silence, secrecy, and deniable success. And now you know why Delta Force doesn't do what the SEALs do. Because in their world, the less you know, the better they've done their job. Because in the world of Black Ops, silence isn't just golden. It's survival. Now that you see the difference, if you want to know what it actually takes to become a Delta Force operator, watch this next. It breaks down the brutal selection process designed to break even the best soldiers. And if you're into breaking down military tactics, secret missions, and the psychology of elite warfare, hit subscribe. Because the stories that aren't supposed to be told are exactly the ones we're digging into next.